And we're back.
What's up?
This is Hook and Ladder. We are week 4. And it was an interesting week of football games, to say the least.
Definitely was. Glad I sold the tickets to the game. I got to stay home and watch pretty much every game. Had multiple TVs and screens going on. Had a sick kid. So I was able to kind of lock myself in a room and have the phone and have multiple screens watching different games throughout the entire day. So actually kind of worked out pretty well, Made a little money selling tickets and on some bets and got to watch all the games.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on. Georgia knocked off UAB 49-21. Slow start for Georgia again. I don't know. Carson Beck, ho-hum.
Threw 338 yards and 4 touchdowns. They moved the football down the field the first play of the game, or first drive of the game, scored a touchdown. Second drive, they moved the football down, couldn't make anything happen. They've got a really bad field goal kicker. So there was a 4th down play where they decided to go for it. 4th and 2 in that longer field goal range. And I like that call. If you know your kicker's not great, we saw it a bunch of times yesterday. You know your kicker's not great, just go for it. You got to pick up a couple yards. I thought it was a bad throw by Carson Beck, or else they would have got the first down. But I like the aggressiveness. I did think this was a slow start. But it wasn't like the other ones where they just weren't really clicking. They were moving the ball down the field.
Right.
I think defensively, they played well. UAB got their first touchdown when Georgia's punt returner fumbled the punt return. UAB got the ball in great field position. They ran a really nice trick play, got 15 yards, and then it was kind of an easy punch in from there. Really don't want to read too much into that. UAB had 1 touchdown drive the entire game. That to me was a tad bit concerning, but it was closer than it needed to be, but it was also wasn't as close as it looked in my opinion. I thought Beck looked good, missed some open guys, missed a couple of deep throws. One of them should have been caught, the other one just was a bad throw. He's slowly getting a little bit better. I think I'd like to see more progress from him. He's slowly getting a little bit better each week. They've got some dudes catching the football. Running back's an issue, all right? Because outside of Dijon Edwards, I think that they don't have anybody they can rely on due to injuries. Offensive line, a lot of guys injured. That whole offensive line's shuffling around, which has got to take its toll. But the real concern for me is Georgia's defense. They've got, again, 4-star and 5-star guys stacked on top of one another, but they're full of injuries. They're young and inexperienced guys. It's going to take them probably half to 3/4 of the season to really get in sync. The defensive line isn't as good as I think it should be, given the recruiting classes. I think Georgia's going to be fine. They don't play anybody all that great, but there's 3 or 4 teams on the schedule that could knock them off.
Right.
So they get, in my opinion, overall the defense has to get better.
I agree. Moving right along, Michigan knocked off Rutgers 31-7. Didn't see any of this one.
I watched this game. I mean, the top 6 teams all struggled.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Ohio State a pass. We'll get there in a minute. But the top 5 teams all kind of played sort of ho-hum for a little bit and then kind of turned it on. Michigan was one of those teams. I love Michigan. Ironically, this is our friend Wendy's most hated team. She kind of gave me the rundown of why. Yeah. It's kind of weird having a diehard Tennessee fan hate Michigan. You figured it'd be like Alabama or Georgia or Florida. No, it's Michigan. But Michigan, they played well. They've got a great team. They're really, really physical, which I like. I'm concerned. I mean, they beat Ohio State the last 2 years like this, but I'm concerned about what's going to happen when they need to throw the football, when they need to rely on McCarthy throwing the ball down the field. Do they have the wideouts and the skill guys capable of stretching the defense? Roman Wilson's awesome. I think he got another touchdown this game, so I think he's got 5 touchdowns in 4 games. But they're not, to me, they don't look like a dangerous team offensively. They're one-dimensional with the run game, which is a great run game, but I think that the passing game needs to kind of expand more. They've never really been that team. That's not really their identity. Wondering if they need to get that going to take the next step.
Right.
They've lost in the playoffs last 2 years. If they want to take the next step, win the title, I think they got to get the ball down the field. I think McCarthy can do it. They're just not doing it.
All right. Moving right along, Texas knocked off Baylor 38-6.
They started off a little slow as well, but turned it on, just like the rest of the teams.
Yeah.
It's like a whole thing they got, theme this season.
Yeah. Florida State knocks off Clemson in a thriller. Clemson, 31-24. What to say about this game?
Florida State didn't lead at any point during regulation. They were down 10 points early in the game. I thought Florida State played terrible. I thought they played uninspired offensively. I thought they played uninspired defensively. Was not the same team I've watched for the first 3 weeks. Was definitely not the same team that took it to LSU. The running game wasn't working, and we saw what Duke did to Clemson week 1. They ran all over them.
Right.
Florida State couldn't do that. They weren't. The bread and butter for Florida State's a run game and then attacking the middle of the field with those excellent wide receivers. They weren't doing that at all.
Right.
They were throwing deep balls to the boundary, and you got to give credit to Clemson's DBs. They were covering them. Keon Coleman had a nice game, but
With the game
they didn't look good. Clemson, I thought, looked great. Offensively, they came out inspired. They knew, look, it doesn't matter that Clemson was unranked and Florida State was ranked number 4. This is a huge game. This was a changing of the guard, so to speak, in the ACC. Florida State hadn't won in a while. Clemson was the dominant team in that conference. You want to knock them off regardless of rank. It's a huge rivalry game. I thought Clemson came out ready to play. Dabo had his guys ready offensively and defensively. Turning point of the game. The fumble, scoop and score for the touchdown. Dude blew up Klubnik. Just blew him up. Poor kid didn't even see him coming, fumbled. In these games, there's one moment, a play here and there. This was the play. Because it easily could have stopped there. Big old fat white dude, number 45 defensive tackle for Florida State, has that football in his hand and can't get it. He gets it, they tackle him, he goes out of bounds, maybe Clemson forces a punt. Nope, it bobbles out of his hand to the dude who made the sack. He catches it in midair and runs it in for a touchdown. Tie game. Clemson missed a chip shot field goal towards the end of regulation to basically send it overtime. But that one play, if that big DT had got that football, Clemson probably would have pulled it out.
Yeah. And the kicker was a walk-on that was there for 4 seasons.
A 30-year-old online guy was about to take a job in New York City and gets the call. Hit a field goal earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Missed an easy one.
Had his whole family there. They had the cameras on. I feel so bad for him.
Cameras on the family. Misses a chip shot to win the game. Dabo does one of these on the ground. The family's at the stands like,
oh, you didn't make a mass
probably should have worn my kid's numbered jersey to the game. Really good game. You love these kind of games with a rivalry like this.
USC knocked off Arizona State, as you expect, 42-28. I didn't see any of this one.
I stayed up to watch this game. I wanted to watch Washington, so I was flipping back and forth. But Arizona State kind of was making a game of it. Caleb Williams did Caleb Williams things and was running around the backfield like it's playground football and making plays. You can't cover wideouts like USC has for that long. No. You got to get home to the guy. Yeah. But they look good. Caleb looked good. The team overall, I thought Arizona State, though, it kept me engaged in the game. I wasn't flipping to the Washington game because they were in it. They've got some players, too. I thought they were going to, they played a lot better than I thought they would. Yeah. USC's got Colorado next. Yeah.
And a big game of the day, Ohio State against Notre Dame. Ohio State wins in the last second. This was a thriller, 17-14. A lot of mistakes by Notre Dame late in the game.
Critical coaching errors. Notre Dame's not in the Big Ten, but this was a Big Ten slugfest. 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Defensive slugfest. Beginning first half of the game. Second half of the game, I thought Notre Dame was more physical. We'll kind of get to that in a second, but they were running the football pretty well. Yeah. I expected Sam Hartman to have more of a hand in this game. He didn't. He didn't push the ball down the field like I thought he would. He wasn't taking charge, that experience like I thought he would. In fact, he made a critical error at the end of late in the game, as did the coaches. But they're up. They make a brilliant 4th down stand to keep Ohio State out of the end zone. You figure the game's probably going to be over, a couple of first downs, and it's over. They get a first down, and it ends up being 2nd and 15, and they throw a screen pass. Clock stops. They end up having to punt the ball, and I believe Ohio State gets it with a chance to put it in the end zone, win the game, with 1:26 left in the game, 1 timeout. You run the football 3 straight times there. Either Ohio State takes a timeout and you still knock about a minute and change off the clock, or Ohio State decides to keep it, and you're punting the football to them, and they get the ball with under a minute left. They drove 65 yards in a minute and change to win the game.
Yeah.
Right? They get a 4th down conversion. Notre Dame was really rushing 3 for maybe 4. A couple times they blitzed it, rushed 4. That critical play, 3rd and 19, after they used the last timeout, which saved the game. 15 seconds left to go in the game. McCord takes a intentional grounding. 10-second runoff would have left them with 5 seconds left to go with one last play to score a touchdown. Ryan Day uses the timeout, saves the 10 seconds. 15 seconds left to go in the game. They throw the football on 3rd and 19 inside the 1. If you're Notre Dame's defense, you can't let that happen.
10 men on the field.
That was the next play. But you can't let that happen, right? They rushed 3. Number 27, what didn't drop back far enough into coverage to get in the way of that football. Can't let that happen. Credit Ryan Day for keeping that timeout. Probably saved the timeout because Notre Dame wanted to get cute and not run the damn football to ice the game.
And what was crazy is the last 2 drives Notre Dame had the ball, they were marching down the field on the ground.
They were running the football well. Look, even if we discussed this before we started, even if they stack the box and you get no game for 3 straight plays, you're killing a boatload of clock. Punting the ball to them, they're going to get the ball with less than a minute to go in the game. And Notre Dame didn't want to do that. Anyway, Ohio State gets the ball back. Credit to them, they march all the way down the field. Those skilled wide receivers who didn't do squat the whole game are coming up with plays. They get down there. They ice the clock, with the spike, because the clock starts. There was, 2 seconds left on the clock. When they spike it, that timeout saved their ass, and it's Notre Dame's fault. Get down there, 10 men on the field, but they spiked it. 10 men on the field, the last play, they run right at the spot where the defensive lineman should have been. They run, and they almost didn't get in.
Yeah.
They get in by
6 inches, maybe?
6 inches, and it's a touchdown. Ohio State, huge win. This is like a signature win for them.
Right.
Top 10 ranking, top 10 matchup on the road. Huge environment, tough place to play, tough way to win, tough game to win. Credit Ohio State. But I didn't like the meltdown. As good as a game Ryan Day coached the last 10 minutes of that game, the meltdown after the game.
Can't have it.
I've never seen a coach that soft, that emotional, that ridiculous in my life. They are a soft football team in these big games.
And Lou Holtz called him out.
Lou Holtz called wrong, which is not wrong. I mean, look, I'm going to give a shout out to 2 of my good buddies, Chris Conley and Jason Long, 2 of the coolest dudes I know. Die-hard Ohio State fans. They're not the tinfoil hat guys. They're not the kind of guys that are going to protest at the gates of the stadium because they want to keep around a domestic violence guy on the roster on the coaching staff because they're winning games. They're not those kind of dudes. They are level-headed, intelligent football fans who are as passionate about Ohio State as they come. And these 2 guys will both tell you Ohio State under Ryan Day is a soft football team. Michigan did it to them twice. Georgia did it to them. I mean, look, that was a game Ohio State should have won, but you can't let a team come from 14 down twice in the same game. They will tell you that Ohio State's soft. Lou Holtz called them out. There's been many, many sports media personalities that have called them out, and for some reason, Ryan Day wants to get all in his feelings about a 97,000-year-old dude who needs his ex-players to hold his ass up on the field. He was like crying on the sideline about it. He was in shambles. This is a tough football team. All right, buddy. If you got to tell us that you're tough, you're probably not tough.
Yeah.
They're still one of the best teams in the country.
Right.
My pick to make the playoff, probably win the national championship game because I do believe they're the most complete team offensively right now. Just with those skill guys, you can't stop them forever.
Right. Penn State knocked off Iowa 31-0. Penn State keeps on winning.
Yeah, Iowa, good for them, not scoring a point.
Kind of
like the Iowa we all know and love.
Yeah.
If they're not making a pick six, they're not scoring. Penn State looks good.
Yeah, they do. And
They'll probably fold under pressure against Ohio State like they always do. That's like Ohio State, Penn State is very similar to the Alabama Ole Miss. Doesn't matter how good Ole Miss or Penn State is, they're going to piss down their leg.
Pretty much. Washington knocked off Cal 59-32. Penix 304.
The game I really wanted to watch just to see, how legit Washington was. They looked it, but I ended up getting sucked in by Caleb Williams' dramatics yet again. Didn't watch too much of this game. What I did see the punt return. They got some good skill guys at Washington. Really looking forward to seeing these guys join the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to seeing these teams do it.
Dan Lanning in Oregon knocked off Colorado 42-6 in a dominant. If dominant was something serious there, I mean, it was they killed them. They crushed them.
This was as big of an ass beating as it comes. Very much like Georgia beat the crap out of Oregon last year. This was the roles reversed. Only as Oregon was Georgia, Colorado was Oregon. I mean, it was bad. Poor Shedeur Sanders. That poor kid, I felt bad for him because he's trying to make plays, and that offensive line was just letting everybody in. And, look, they kept showing Deion on the sidelines. You could tell he was pissed, but you could tell he expected it.
Yeah.
And I think he would have been the first guy to tell you that he expected something like this. He knows 95 guys on the scholarship. They got 86 or 95 guys on the roster or something like that. They got 86 new dudes. He brought in these guys. If he didn't think they could help his football team, he would have brought them in.
Right.
That being said, he still knows he needs more guys. And we'll get to Lanning in a second, but I think his press conference after the game, again, he's in his feelings over Dan Lanning's comments. And he's like, I keep receipts. But he's right about one thing. He said, you better get me now because this is the worst we're going to be. And I completely agree with him. He's just going to get better recruiting classes. He's going to get better guys in the portal. Colorado, I think, is going to be the destination for portal guys. I don't really know what they are in recruiting right now, but the portal guys, they're going to get him. He's going to get a good QB when Shedeur leaves. They're going to be a good football team going forward, but Oregon exposed the flaws in Colorado's team, and it got. I watched the first half, and I started feeling bad for him.
Yeah. The offensive line is no good. They can't run the ball. The defense is porous at best.
I mean, look, based on Twitter and all the articles on Bleacher Report after the game, America was happy with this outcome, and they were loving how much of an ass beating it was. I don't think that would have been the case if Colorado wasn't in the media. And Bleacher Report's number one. We all know the story.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter was paid a lot of money by Barstool Sports to commit to Jackson State, the big NIL coup. Can a top player take the money and spurn the big teams?
Yeah.
Florida State was the number one team to land him. He goes to Jackson State, follows Deion to Colorado. But then they signed the Bleacher Report deal. So every Sunday afternoon, there's a Q&A with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders in their dorm rooms or wherever they're living. The cars, the watches, I think America's kind of getting tired of that crap. And if they weren't showing them every 5 seconds on Bleacher Report with these interviews, I think most of America wouldn't have felt that way. I started feeling bad for Colorado towards like the end of the second half, or first half.
I mean, that game could have got a lot uglier.
It could.
I mean, they had 35 in the first half. Oregon did. They called off the dogs, but Bo Nix, Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, he's up there. Shedeur's gone from that conversation, in my opinion. It is what it is. It's nothing against him, but when you lose a game and you don't really play well, they tend to drop you. I mean, he might be in the conversation later.
He might get invited to New York.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to win.
There's a lot of season left. UCLA lost to Utah 14-7. I don't think anybody saw a 14-7 score.
No, I watched a little bit of this game. It was a snoozer, but I have to watch it. Dante Moore's a true freshman. Great story. Didn't look very good. Utah's good. Utah's got a boatload of injuries, so they're only getting better.
Yeah.
But you got to give them credit. That defense shut down UCLA in epic fashion. And I caught the end of it.
Yeah, attrition in the Pac-12.
It was like the last drive to win the game, and 3 straight plays, maybe 4 straight plays, they sacked them.
Yeah. Arkansas loses to LSU in a nail biter, 34-31.
Really good game, sneaky good game for the Golden Boot, which I didn't realize it was like 180 pounds. But really good game. Jefferson played well. You kind of expect Arkansas to fold in these kind of games. They hung around with them. LSU looked really good, but got to give credit to Arkansas. They kept coming back and coming back and coming back. Ended up being a great game. It's a huge rivalry game.
Right.
I didn't really know that until watching some highlights this morning. They were interviewing Kelly, Brian Kelly, and he was talking about the rivalry. And then they were saying how much it means to the folks in Arkansas. I didn't really realize it was that big of a rivalry. This game, if I'm not mistaken, typically gets played in November, like on Thanksgiving night or the day after. And for some reason, they want to ruin everything and put it.
Well, I think when they got Missouri into the conference and A&M,
keep it the Friday after Thanksgiving, so people like me have a really nice game to watch on Friday.
There you go. Alabama knocked off Ole Miss 24-10. Pretty good game, but Lane Kiffin just can't get it done.
No, and you know what? You can see this coming from a mile away. It was Alabama 6.5. All right, I took Alabama with, given the points. We all know how this game goes. Lane Kiffin likes to run his mouth, likes to say all these things in pressers leading up to the game, taking shots at Saban all summer, all year, and then during game week. Even came out one of his press conferences to Taylor Swift, the castle crumbles or whatever. I think it's Taylor Swift. I'm not really sure, but dude won't shut up, and he can't beat Alabama. Offense looks great every year. Offense looks great until they get to Alabama, and Alabama shuts them down. Alabama offense looks like crap. It did yesterday, but they got enough plays offensively from McClellan. Alabama's defense is really freaking good. That front seven's awesome. I mean, they're really good. Dallas Turner's in the backfield every play. But yet, Ole Miss had chances to win the game. And they can't capitalize because Lane Kiffin pisses down his leg when he has to face Nick Saban. It's like he says all these comments to deflect that he can't beat Nick Saban. And everybody knows Nick Saban lives rent-free in Lane Kiffin's head. Last year, he was mentioned in the Auburn job. And I question any fan base, any athletic director, any booster that thinks Lane Kiffin is going to save their program. He's a friggin' clown. Dude, offensive guru. Quarterback was like dog shit. Running game looked like dog shit. Passing game looked like dog shit. Everybody knows the defense is dog shit. It's been that way. He goes to Sugar Bowl. What happens? He gets smoked by teams vastly inferior. He's a freaking clown. The dude can't coach. His team is undisciplined, constantly undisciplined. I mean, they've never had a decent defense while he's been there. They rely on scoring a bunch of points. When they play against good teams, they can't do it. The dude's a joke. I feel bad for Ole Miss. They're stuck with him. This dude should be coaching D2 football. He's a freaking clown. Honestly, I shouldn't say I can't say the guy. I like the shit he says in the press conferences. You watch the game, and then at the post game, it's like, oh, yeah, missed opportunities, feel disappointed. I'm like, dude, you knew this was coming because you can't coach.
Well, tell me what you really feel.
Dude, he sucks.
Well, moving right along.
He belongs in the Pac-12. That's where he can succeed. That's it.
Oregon State loses to Washington State 38-35.
I watched this game. Great game. Cam Ward's awesome. Washington State is a team you just kind of root for. Coaches, players, they're just the post-game interview when he's like, we have no 5 stars, we have no 4 stars. The sum, it's greater than its parts kind of deal.
Right.
They just play hard. They play for each other. They passing game, running game, offense, defense, special teams, all 3 phases of the game. They just play hard. They might not be great at everything, but they just play hard. The effort's there. They're extremely well coached. They've bought in. And I give credit to Oregon State. DJ didn't have a good game yesterday. But that being said, dude looks completely different guy than he was at Clemson. He looks comfortable for the most part. He looks in charge. He's not wishy-washy. He didn't know what to do. I think he's found his home. And I hope he sticks around for at least another year because I think he's going to be he can be developed into a really good
where are they going to play next year?
Yes, both of them got left out. I would not be shocked to see maybe a last-minute deal with the Big 12, last-minute deal with maybe like the Mountain West. So they'll find a home, and I think they're going to be better for it.
Probably so.
Probably be a better situation for them than who they got to go against now.
Right. Oklahoma knocked off Cincinnati 20-6.
Didn't see anything.
Yeah. North Carolina against Pitt 41-24. Drake May 236 threw a ball left-handed. Scored a touchdown.
I didn't see this game, but I watched some highlights, and it was kind of what I expected it to be.
Yeah. Duke, UConn, 41-7.
I did watch a little bit of this game.
Okay.
Saw a couple touchdowns in North Carolina. I was flipping. For Duke, I was flipping back and forth. Every time they got like inside the 40, I kind of tune in. They look good. UConn's garbage, so you can't really tell. Just same thing as the Miami Temple.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched like 30 seconds, and I was like, all right, never mind. Same thing with the Tennessee game. Watched 30 seconds. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Florida 22-7 against Charlotte.
I watched that catch by Pierce Hall, and that was it.
Yeah. Auburn A&M. A&M wins 27-10.
Auburn didn't get inside the red zone at all. Their only touchdown came on a scoop and score that Jimbo's on the field for, trying to make a tackle.
Yeah.
A&M lost some dudes in this game, starting quarterback included. They lost dudes to injury. Auburn, they're like Colorado to me. I believe in the coach.
Yeah.
I believe what they're doing. They've got the NIL resources. They got the boosters. I mean, Come on, Auburn's one of the most shady programs in history. You know they're going to use NIL to their advantage, right? They just don't have the guys yet. I believe Hugh Freeze is going to get the guys. They're a couple of years away.
Yeah.
Probably 2 more years. I don't think they're going to be that good next year. They need more guys, and I think it's going to take a couple of classes and a couple of portal cycles.
Yeah. They'll get there eventually. Kentucky knocked off Vanderbilt 45-28.
High scoring game, both teams.
Kentucky still undefeated.
Kentucky had, Vanderbilt turned the ball over a bunch of times. Kentucky had two pick sixes.
Mm-hmm. Did Nebraska get its first win?
They did. It was a delay though, and I kind of like turned it off, and I was like, all right, they're up big. It was a 28-7. I think when I want to turn it off. Louisville, Jake Plummer had a freaking day. 388, I think 5 scores. He looked great.
Yeah. Kansas knocked off BYU.
That was, dude, did you see that hit? Mm-hmm. That Kobe Bryant guy drilled the poor bastard, picked the ball up, ran it in. That was awesome.
Let's see, nothing else. Oh, Tech knocked off Wake Forest 30-16.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah.
I watched the Mississippi State South Carolina game. That was really good back and forth. Yeah. Will Rogers is a sneaky good quarterback. I mean, shouldn't be a sneaky good anymore. Everybody should know his name. Mm-hmm. He's a good quarterback. Bad football team.
Right.
Spencer Rattler. After all this time, I mean, I don't like the kid because of that damn TV show, but he's matured. It's been, 6 years? Mm-hmm. So I'd like to think the kid's matured. However, is he elite? I mean, if you look at the statistics, first half against Georgia, dude was elite quarterback. Second half, Georgia made adjustments. He was 6 for 24 with 2 picks. Mm-hmm. But it really wasn't his fault. There was 3 or 4 drops in that second half. Right. He looked really good yesterday. He's looked good this season. Is he an elite SEC quarterback? I mean, he plays South Carolina. They're probably going to lose 5-6 games. But I think the dude's
he's going to win a game. They're going to beat somebody they shouldn't be.
And he did that a couple times last year with his arm. And the kid's got the talent.
Let's move to next week's games. Thursday night, there's Temple and Tulsa, 7:30. You can get a ticket for $5.
I'll probably watch the Middle Tennessee Western Kentucky game. I like watching the Hilltoppers.
Yeah. Louisville, NC State, Friday night, 7 o'clock.
Utah at Oregon State, 9 p.m. on Friday. That is the game I will be watching. I mean, I'll probably throw on Cincinnati BYU late, but that's a nice ranked matchup. How's Utah going to look? They got to get Cam Rising back at some point.
Yeah. And I thought they were going to get back this past week.
I did too.
But it didn't happen. You see, USC's got Colorado at noon. That's going to be an early game. Woo. It's like
noon? It's good Lord. What, they playing at 9 in the morning? Colorado time? Good God almighty. Why is that thing not at night?
It's 10 a.m. It's Fox, man. They just got to schedule that game.
Fox is the worst.
Penn State, Northwestern.
I expect USC to roll. I think Penn State's going to roll.
Kentucky, Florida at noon.
Florida at Kentucky. That's going to be a tough game. At Kentucky, it's a noon kick. That's going to be a slugfest.
Yeah. Devin Leary, I think he's going to make a name for himself. A&M, Arkansas.
12, that could be a sneaky good game.
Clemson, Syracuse.
That could be a sneaky good game. Syracuse is undefeated. Yeah. Undefeated. They're putting points on people.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got.
It's at the Carrier Dome.
Mm-hmm. We got. Go ahead.
Tough place to play. I've been there. I saw back in Miami's heyday when they were winning national championships every 5 minutes. I watched them on a Saturday night game. Santana Moss was the standout wideout for Miami. So that's how long ago it was. And that's a fun place to be for a game, but holy shit, is it cold?
Yes. Georgia versus Auburn, 3:30.
Oldest rivalry and like the Deep South's oldest rivalry. That could be a sneaky good game. That's Jordan Hare is a hard place to play. That place gets loud. Mm-hmm. All the Auburn fans get lubed up going in the game. They get nice and rowdy. Mm-hmm. They got their pockets full of toilet paper in case they win the game. That Carson Beck, first road test.
Yeah,
I'd feel better as a Georgia fan if maybe Stetson Bennett was on the team. I think Georgia has the horses to make this a rout early, but are they gonna take their first quarter and then make it an entire half or 3 quarters because they're on the road? We don't know who's gonna show up for Georgia. They still haven't put it together yet.
Michigan has Nebraska at 3:30 as well.
That'd be a blowout.
Kansas, Texas.
That might be a sneaky good game because Kansas ain't a bad football team by any stretch of the imagination.
Let's see what else we got.
Maryland's pretty good.
Yeah.
Illinois, Purdue, that'll be a snoozer. Sorry, Jerry. Jerry and I might be at the Georgia-Auburn game. We're trying to get some tickets. I think my wife is trying to throw a monkey wrench into that because I don't think she wants us to go. So we'll see what happens. LSU Ole Miss is the old saying goes, don't let Alabama beat you twice.
Yep.
I think it's going to happen. I think LSU wins this game going away. 6 p.m. kick.
Oregon, Stanford. That's going to be a murder.
Let's go, Oregon. Come on. Stanford's my one of my most hated teams, just like Ohio State.
There you go. Let's see. We got Notre Dame against Duke.
Dude, Iowa State at Oklahoma. Bechtel, a bet for Iowa State. Dude looks great at QB. Calm, cool, and collective for a young player. They looked great yesterday. Very Pac-12-ish of them with just the check downs to the tight ends, nice running game, nice deep ball. Very balanced offense.
Right. Duke,
That's
Notre
gonna be a
Dame.
hell of a game.
I agree.
South Carolina at Tennessee. Tennessee is going to look to get some revenge after last year's ass beating. Cost them a trip to the playoffs.
Yep. Let's see what else we got. Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, TCU.
Alabama at Mississippi State.
9
9 p.m.
Ooh. Late night.
And there's nothing at 10. No decent games. Oh yeah. So I'll watch that one and then Washington. Maybe I'll actually get to watch Washington more than just a few minutes. As long as Alabama can take care of business, I don't have to stay on that game. Yeah. But I really want to see what Washington's about, so I'll probably have both of those games on at once.
Well, we're getting into the meat of the season. The games are starting to get really meaningful real fast. So.
There's really no team, in my opinion, that is elite just yet. Every team has flaws. Obviously, the top 6 teams are there for a reason. Right. I still believe if Florida State plays like they're capable of, if Ohio State plays like they're capable of, Georgia, Penn State, Michigan, I feel all of those teams, Oregon, all of those teams, any of them could win the national championship. But all of them have a really good chance of slipping up, other than, I would say, Ohio State and Georgia. Those are the 2 teams with the least chance of slipping up just because of their schedule.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the season. I just don't know what's out there. I think Notre Dame's still alive. I do
too.
I think who's the other team that got knocked off? LSU's still alive.
A close loss at home to the number 6 ranked team in the country. If they take care of business going the rest of the way and think chips fall.
11-1 Notre Dame is probably slipping into the playoffs.
Yeah, chips got to fall in their favor, but they could be in there. So it was a really great week. Great games yesterday. Great week of football.
Got Miami hanging around.
Yeah, they are. They're quietly. They're going to end up having to play Clemson and maybe. I think the ACC went to just top 2 best teams. You never know. We could see Florida State, Miami. We could have a wide left type of game for the ACC championship. Spot in the playoff on the line.
Yep. You just don't know how these things are going to shake out. But here we are, week 4. We're going into week 5. You guys have a good week.
See ya.